Okay, let's get started. Aloha. Aloha and welcome to our closing session of our conference over these last 2 days. It's been a busy but very informative conference, and we're grateful for this last part. As you can see on our program, this last part is around general talanoa and dialogue session. We're hoping to conclude this part of the session at a 4:15 so that we can finish off with the closing remarks from our panel up here. I'm grateful and honored to be part of this closing panel with Director Brett Scharffs and our student lead, Gavin Cranney. We wanted to start off first with a general discussion, question to the congregation, to the attendees and delegates. We have our mic set up. Where we're going to start off with is what do we propose are the next steps going from this conference? Where do we go from here, with the next proposed conference being in 2 years' time back at BYU Hawaii? So again, the question is, what are our next steps as delegates here? How can we continue to collaborate going forward? Please, our mic is available.
Well, I guess for me, the way to go is how we can bring this down to a little bit local level from, so from like conferences like this is good at one level, but we can't remain at this level. There's a movement that they call globalization from below. There's globalization from above, and that's creating a lot of victims of globalization. So the way to move is to move from the above to below, and how we move down. And since we're gathering as Oceania, it's good to how we can, really two ways on a prophetic level, and that is to speak to the Pacific Island Forum, which is probably the biggest network of politicians. That's when we speak in that space, we're speaking as in the prophetic language. We're speaking to them. But also we need to go how we can engage the victims of globalization. Again, so how do we go down below? Thanks.
Banaka, your grace.
Thank you for putting us on the spot, David. I was trying to gather my thoughts. I think for me as a national human rights institution, I've already started, conversations with my colleagues back from Fiji on how we can, develop on the discussions that we've had in the last 2 days on how we can better incorporate, or like I've said in my presentation, contextualizing this for the grassroots level. So there's 2 different areas for me. Is looking at the grassroots level, which is the most important, aspects of our work, is how, like what Rev has talking about today, is the community, taking it down to the community, how that translates, how that applies to community, which is part of the work that we are continuing. And in doing that, this is the network, this is the collaboration that is important in order to do that. So it's the bottom-up approach instead of the top-bottom approach. And then you have the formal sector, which is looking into the government. So that's another space altogether, looking at working at making the necessary influences and changes at the policy level. And again, this is the network and that space, because this is where the grassroots level information is, and that needs to feed up to them so that they understand and know where these relevant changes are made. Looking at how we can continue in this space with the opportunity that BYU Hawaii has offered us, I thought that this was also a good space to come and talanoa. And it's a good space to talanoa not only as Oceania, but also across in the sense of sharing best practices on how it can apply to your own context. So I think that's the other issue as well, is picking out what is most relevant to your own country and to the context of your country. So I hope that makes sense. And those are just some brief remarks that I could try my best to gather in my brain in the last few minutes. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Kini.
Malo. I think I'm just following up with the previous two speakers. But I think what I'm looking at the role of academics from this institution and other institutions in the, how do we look at some of the research on some of these issues that are being brought up? Can we seriously look, because I think when you sit here, you take for granted that what you guys enjoy in the States, the freedom of information, your access to information, your ability to be in open discussion. Yeah? Those things are not available in the island. Yeah? You're talking about there's a lot of constriction. Yeah? Because respect is not to say anything that will affect our leaders. Eh? Respect is not to discuss issues that would be relevant to the livelihood of the people. Eh? I think the only time we see some concern is when election come. Eh? They are very much concerned about the livelihood. After that, they disappear for 4 years, and then until the next election. Eh? So we need to look at some of how can we inform through other research some of these issues that could be printed, that we face in some of our space. Civil society space is also quite constricted in some of these islands. We can come here and we can talk openly. We go back to the island, we look around who's in the room before we think of what we need to say. So some of those issues. I think the other issue in relation to dignity is the bishop spoke about this localization. How do we localize some of these global issues? I mean, for example, when we saw the director of Caritas speaking on Kiribati about water. Kiribati is going to sink. Water is the biggest issue. Climate fund is not going to happen for Kiribati in the next 20 years. How do we work to look at the dignity from a process where we can simplify some of these processes that we have set up to help people? Right? Those processes are not working. None of our governments are certified to apply to climate fund. And we are living in the whole climate change. I think we need to look at some of those processes, because when we talk about dignities, how do we get people to participate? How do we get this funding that people can make decisions on in those processes? And I think more dialogue, open information for people. And I think most of the time we think that community don't understand. I think that we think that community are not up to par because they don't have a degree, or they just finish high school, or some finish primary school. The knowledge that the community have is something we can harvest to help how we move forward with some of these issues. The traditional knowledge. For example, I'm talking about one of our small islands in Whanoi. The whole community were able to get up to the top of the hill before the tsunami waves arrived. And I went out there and I asked, how did you know? Where did you get the information? And one of the old men said, no, we look at the sea, we look at the sky, the color of the sky change, the sea starts to boil. Some of these things are, and then immediately they said there's something going to happen, let's move everybody up. It's not documented. And I think those things could help us in how we work with community. And one of the issue that we face is, for example, when we look at resources. Our resources, it's owned by the community, it's owned by the people. They need to have a say on how these resources are being exported. Not just government saying we need to do this. What we are facing in the islands, the big companies, the big exporter come and tell us, we want your beach steamer. We want to take 10 tons. And the community knows that they only have 5 tons. So they go out, they harvest everything and the beach steamer for the next 10 years to go, because that's the exporters. So I think I need some dialogue, because dignity is when you are able to make decision yourself on what you have, and make decision yourself on the money and how that works. And I think that's our approach that we need to look at. But I think that one other thing I like it in the States is you have dialogue, you have committees, you have hearings on some of the issue. I would say most of our governments don't do that. When visitors come, they said, yeah, we talk to the people, but that's not the case. Maybe I'll let somebody else come on. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Javier.
I think what we agree is we need not words, not declarations, but something more substantial. I think we understand, and I think that that's been one of the main, not revelations, but a big issue that's come up again and again, is that this is about connecting people. This is about hearts, attaching hearts, having them understand that people are related to one another. It's about connecting people, bringing people into the family, if you want. I mean, that's what I saw as the underlying issue. I was tempted to say, how would religions, the different faith groups, how have they done this successfully in the past, and how might they do this? But I'd like to suggest something else. I'd like to suggest that instead of extending the family, the issue right now is repairing broken relationships, repairing bad connections. And so my suggestion is that we spend some time in the future, not necessarily at the next session, on reconciliation, bringing together people. And one of the things that could involve is the justice system, repairing the European or the modern justice system. There's something that island cultures could teach modern societies, how you do bring together people where there's been damage done to one family, and how the whole family comes to represent that person, and how there is reconciliation and repairs made for the damage, and everybody goes off relatively not exactly happy, but at least resigned to the situation and peaceful, rather than what we have now.
Thank you, Father Hazel. Go ahead, Jenny.
Kia ora, the chair. Kia ora, Mr. Chairman. Kia ora tātou. I want to preface what I want to say with a word of congratulations in case I don't get another opportunity to do this, but I really want to thank the organisers for the number of women who have spoken, the ways in which you have honoured the contributions of absolutely brilliant women, which have simply enhanced the contributions of some equally good blokes. So thank you for that. That's been really, really noticed and really appreciated. I spoke earlier this morning and I thought I was actually going to just add to what Xavier has just said. But I do believe that it's with real urgency that we have got to start to strategise best ways of harnessing the best possible spirit of regionalism. And our brother from Guam spoke about this yesterday. I think that that's a problem that we have within the Pacific. I think as peoples of the Pacific, we're justifiably so incredibly proud of our differences, but it's those differences which I think now being used by external actors to divide us against each other. And I think, with due respect, the Pacific Forum is a classic case study in this very phenomenon. So I do believe that we must pay attention to strengthening our regional relationships one with another. And I just guess I want to declare an agenda here, because I started off with this genuine comment about the role of women, and I think that women's leadership in undertaking that kind of reconciliation work will be imperative. I think that's part of the problem with the Pacific Forum. The other thing I spoke of, and I don't know, but you know, instruments such as, you know, we have these calls for something that emerge out of conferences. They actually have a utility way beyond our understanding at the times that they are initially written. And I spoke this morning briefly about a Lāʻie call for reprioritising human dignity across the Pacific. I don't know what we call it, but something like that will be an instrument that everybody can hang on to and say, yes, I was at that conference and this is what we agreed to. These are the 4 or 5 principles. Wouldn't take us much because we've elucidated how many already. But just something like that is a little tool for us each to take back to where we come from, but to hold us accountable to one another as we go forward in the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Depa Daniel. Some of the themes as we come to the midway part of our closing session here has been around strategizing ideas on the way forward. You've heard about connecting people, attaching hearts, having these grassroots initiated ideas, these bottom-up approaches, and localizing it to the spaces that we come from, that our people come from, that those that we connected to come from. Recognizing the importance of creating safe spaces so that we continue these conversations in our home areas, and recognizing the expertise and the cultural expertise and those that hold the knowledge with people that may not be educated in a Western academic sense. I think is some of the things that we've heard here. As we transition here, one of the things that we've put down is that we wanted to see if there was a way that we can collect all presentations so that these presentations can be disseminated to everybody, our delegates, to have this information at your disposal. There are conversations of how we're going to, if we could possibly put this in an open door space so that it get access to academia, and we'll inform delegates on that going forward. Mahalo, Vinaka. Anything, Director Scharffs or Gavin, that you'd like to add? We got one more comment, go ahead. No.
I just reflect on the Romans 12, 3-8, which talks about that we are all in service of the body of God, and that we all have different functions, but coming together we form the one body of Christ. And I see that here. We all have a different role to play. We aren't all the same, but together we can we come together and we have talked about a whole lot of common themes here. I'm with Jenny. I know that with our Pacific sort of way of doing things, we do things very smoothly, and we want to talk, but our islands are drowning. We've got urgency upon us now. A lot of our focus tends to be on the present rather than the preparedness, and I just really want to urge that we can behave differently without losing the essence of who we are. So sometimes our Pacific islandness can actually get in the way of actually getting some real action at the right time. The enabling of the university here today actually enabled me to come. We're a charity. I could not have come without you doing that, without enabling me to do that. And I suspect it might be for many others. This is not a normal thing in all us around the islands coming together like this. So you've enabled that. And so this is the part that you've played, which is actually a really important resource role that has enabled us to come together, and I don't want us to lose this role. So the declarations or the principles that Jenny talks about, I think we need to put that down in writing. We need to declare something, and I think build on that. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Mina, for your thoughts there. We will carry on now as we come to the conclusion. We'll start off with Gavin Cranney to give us a quick report and some acknowledgements. I'll follow his address, and then we'll finish off with Director Brett Scharffs.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I'm a backbencher here. I just walked in, but I want to give my 2 cents. I've heard the presentations today, and they're really wonderful. Now, my question is, how is this information filtered down to the people in my village? I've heard community, I've heard families spoken here. I understand this conference is done once every year. Do you get feedbacks from the people that come here? Otherwise, we're just kicking the can down the street. That's just my question.
Thank you for that question, Auntie Atiava. Yes, so we, I think the onus is on us as delegates here to take this, what we've gained and what we've learned, what we've added to our baskets, into our various spaces. I think it's important for us to continue to keep in contact and collaborate, so that we may, as our delegates from Fiji or Samoa and Tonga and New Zealand, they can continue these conversations in their spaces and push the idea of human dignity, human rights, and religious freedom in these spaces. Again, the hope is that this continues as we move forward. Right. Okay, thank you for that, Auntie. Again, we'll start with Gavin, and we'll move from there.
Awesome, thank you. And aloha.
Aloha.
My name is Gavin Cranney. I'm a student here at BYU Hawaii. I just recently walked in graduation and will be leaving after a few weeks, which is sad. But I've had the great opportunity to be involved on many things on this campus, including the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative and putting on this conference, which has been a lot of hard work and required the work of a lot of people. So I'm just gonna give a brief thank you and expression of gratitude to some of the many people who did that. And when I was thinking of how to begin a thank you, I was kind of thinking of a proverb that's been shared throughout this conference, and that is, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata, which, as has been expressed, is a Maori proverb, which means, which answers the question of what is the most important thing. And the answer is a resounding affirmation that it is, in fact, the people, the people, the people. And with that, I decided I would like to talk about some of the people who made this conference possible. First, it is all of you, the delegates, the people who took the time out of their busy schedules to accept our invitation and come to here to BYU Hawaii and bless us with the wisdom and knowledge that you've gained throughout your careers in education. So that is the first, is to the delegates, as well as the organizers of this conference, including the International Center for Law and Religion and BYU Hawaii, and the numerous people involved in that to make this happen. And now it's been a lot of hard work and lots of Zooms meetings to coordinate everything and to make sure everything goes to plan, as well as media productions, food service. I hope everyone's been liking the food. I think it's really good, and I know they put a lot of hard work into that, as well as their student volunteers who have made this happen. So I'll just list a few of them. This is definitely not exhaustive. Oh yeah, round of applause. So first, I'd like to thank the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity advisors who made this happen. First is Jennifer Kajiyama Tinkam, Patiola Thompson, who's actually probably still busy at work, but if you see her, express our gratitude to her. David Whippy, he's done a lot behind the scenes and presenting at this conference, and I know he's been kind of everyone's go-to to help resolve problems, so we're thankful for his service he's provided, as well as Dr. Rand Blimes and Dr. Aaron Shumway, and the work they've done to make this conference a reality. And not just our advisors, but this conference has been very student-led and has had the influence of many, so I want to acknowledge all their hard work, including John Zanger, who's actually also an executive student lead with me, as well as Valerie Augustine, who is also, oh, she's in the back. She's back there, you can wave to her. They've been a lot of help in making sure this conference goes smoothly, as well as our fellows, Sophia Gunter, Hannah Harding, Junior, Ridgie, and Lindo, as well as other student volunteers, including Gracie, let's see, who else is in here? Gracie, Daryl, Chloe, Abish, Talia, Abish, and many others who have put this work. So maybe let's give another round of applause to all the student volunteers. We've been very blessed and truly grateful to provide a time and a place, or tava, for you guys to come here and to facilitate conversations. And we hope it'll be conducive to furthering numerous initiatives to better the conditions of humans and upholding human dignity throughout the world, and specifically in Oceania. We may all have different mother tongues, home countries, religious affiliations, and other identities. But despite this, we all share an earnest commitment and charge to make a difference through our various spheres of influence, whether that is through the law or religion or as an NGO worker. All of these, we all are committed to upholding human dignity through these various things. And as we embark, and as we was mentioning, what will we do after leaving this conference? As we all embark on our own different paths after this conference, may we all remember the connections and the commitments we have made to further and seek ways to continue to uphold the dignity of others. I know I've been truly blessed to be a part of all these many conferences. Before I began, I was always kind of talking about the media. You know, you always kind of faced with all these news articles and all these things that are going bad in the world. And I think it's kind of easy to resign to like a degree of like cynicism and kind of thinking that, oh, you know, these things have always happened, they'll always continue to happen, and, you know, just seeing the suffering and the unfairness that's in the world. And that's still a reality, as we've heard from the many stories. These things still occur, and they're frequent. But I've been continually impressed and inspired by the work and the passion people have to make a difference and not just accept the inevitability of these issues, but to be a change maker and to be in these spaces and to put in the hard work to uplift the dignity and uphold that for other people. I think everyone can attest here. I haven't been in the field, so I don't really have firsthand knowledge, but it's definitely not easy, as we've heard from everyone here, the challenges and the repercussions that can come from it. That are not just professional but personal. But I'm continually inspired, and I know our students as well, with the stories and the experiences you guys have shared to uphold this dignity and to be a voice for change. And I just thought I'd close with a quote that I really liked from one of the apostles in our church, Elder Dale G. Renland. He talks about, in his talk, Infuriating Unfairness, he talks about, we demonstrate our love for our neighbor by working to ensure the dignity of all Heavenly Father's children. So I think that's kind of a theme that we've seen throughout this. So with that, I just want once again express the gratitude to the delegates, to the organizers, to the volunteers, to the media services, to the food staff, and everyone else who has made this conference a reality. So thank you.
Thank you, Gavin. Allow me to bear with me as I give some remarks here too. I know you're tired of listening to me talk already. Again, I want to commend the students, our RFHD student fellows, for all the support and logistical elements that have been covered throughout the conference. I really think that they've really taken care of us over these last 2 days. Mahalo nui loa and vinaka vakalevu to Professor Brett Scharff, Director of the International Center for Law and Religious Studies, Associate Director Hannah Smith, their team, Deborah Wright, Blythe Shope, Janet and Jeff Nelson, and the rest of the team for bringing together a diverse group of leaders from our Oceania space. Also, mahalo nui loa to our BYU Hawaii President, President Kawe, Academic Vice President, Isaiah Walker, our deans that have been in attendance for agreeing to host this conference. It would be remiss for me to not acknowledge our RFHD advisory group for their guidance and advice, and also for volunteering me for this part of the program. Professor Rand Blimes, Director Aaron Shamway, Professor Jennifer Kajiyama, and in a lot of ways our MVP member, Patiola Thompson. Lastly, I want to recognize you as our delegates. What more can be said than what has been said about human dignity? My basket has been filled. I feel that I've been fed in mind, spirit, and obviously upu, or stomach, right? We have had very young or meaningful conversations around human dignity from the indigenous, cultural, religious, contemporary, government, civil society, media, and many other perspectives. These truths interconnect in a uniquely Pacific way. There's more that connects us here in this way than that is different. At its root are the relationships that have been nurtured throughout this conference. These interconnected relationships have been highlighted in conference through the Fijian totems of ika, fish, manu, animal or insect, and kau, meaning tree, through piko, manaya, honua, vanua, whenua, and he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. Relationships to everything that is around us, the land, the sea, the sky, and the people, are significant to our human dignity in the Pacific. In my mind's eye, we as delegates have started in the weaving of a fine mat, an Oceanian Pacific human dignity mat. In many of our Pacific cultures, as we know, these fine mats are significant. These fine mats, imbe vakaviti, itonga, ngafi ngafi, take several months to complete, as it is woven by hand with great care from leaves and reeds to these fine mats. These fine mats in the Pacific are of great cultural significance, as we know, usually given on special occasions as a sign of respect and honor. I encourage you, us as delegates, to keep weaving these mats in our own spaces. Much like these fine mats, the strands overlap and connect. Change and transformation from a thought to legislation may take more than a couple of months, but the weaving of this mat must continue. For our people, for those that have passed, for our children to come. I walk backwards into the future with my eyes fixed on my past, as the Maori proverb says. In conclusion, I tell a story from the origins of our BYU Hawaii University. The president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at the time, David McKay, stated this at the groundbreaking, that from this school, I'll tell you will go men and women whose influence will be felt for good towards the establishment of peace internationally. There's no doubt in my mind that we are also included, that we are these men, these women, these tane, kane, wahine. Peace cannot be recognized without the recognition of human dignity, human rights, and religious freedom. Keep weaving. I close with the words of my friend, Father Francis Hessel, and an invitation from Father Hessel. Human dignity starts here, and the invitation as expressed by Elder Wakolo in our first session, and as you see on entering BYU Hawaii, to enter to learn and to go forth to serve. Thank you.
The dean of our law school at long faculty meetings used to say, the time has come where everything there is to be said has been said, if not yet by everyone. And I'm going to test the limits of that proposition by speaking for 4 or 5 minutes. So please forgive me for running us over time. Just to echo what David said, we're very eager to amplify the messages that have been given here. All of you were invited to send your papers in advance. We'd like to thank the 6 of you who did that. Not including me. I'm among the guilty here. And we would like to invite the balance of our delegation to send in their papers. We'd like to amplify the voices in a way that's very accessible, so we're going to give some thought to either an open access journal or a set of blog posts. The blog posts may be the best because we can then forward them to all of you, and you can use whatever networks you have to forward those to your constituencies and to those who follow and read you as well. I'd like to thank those from the 12 countries who've been represented here at this symposium. It's never possible to include everyone, but we've included many, and I thank Jenny especially for recognizing the women's voices that contributed mightily to this conference. I'd also like to thank the student voices that contributed mightily to this conference. This is something we need to learn to do better in many other contexts. So thank you to the students for helping us see the importance of this. I'd also like to thank those who are here listening. Listening is exhausting, and listening carefully is especially exhausting. I'd like to note, for example, that we have delegates here from Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the United States who did nothing but listen. And I'm very grateful to you for being here. It's easy to come and speak. It's actually a bigger sacrifice to come and listen. And as I thought about that list of countries, I thought about the combined population of those countries compared to the combined population of the countries that spoke. And this really was an opportunity for us to listen to those who were not always heeded. So we're grateful for that. I'd like to echo the gratitude expressed to students, faculty, the moderators, and speakers, to the planning committee and the secretariat, to Jeff and Janet Nelson, Deborah Wright, Blythe Shoup, and the others from BYU Hawaii who've been thanked. To the President and Administration of BYU Hawaii, we're grateful for this partnership. And everyone associated with the BYU Hawaii Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative, the faculty advisors, student leaders, the timekeepers. I hope all of you realize that your human dignity was not being minimized by the timekeeper, but the dignity of those who followed you was trying to be given equal attention. So thank you to the timekeepers, to those who provided transportation, to those who provided food for breaks and meals. We have indeed eaten our way across the last 2 days, and we're not done yet. We have the big feast still ahead of us. Those who are responsible for the program and even the branding. I mean, I've got a lapel pin that is specifically branded to this conference, and it just is a testament to the attention to detail and the effort to give island hospitality that our partners here at BYU Hawaii have provided. Now, it's always risky to call out for special thanks anyone, but I'm going to call out 2 people, both my former students. So I have an extra measure of pride. But I'd like to thank Jennifer Kajiyama Tinkham. Jennifer, thank you for all you've done. Not just for this conference, but for this initiative, the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative. And I'd also like to thank Hannah Clayson-Smith, our Associate Director, who from our side was the principal organizer of the academic part of the program. So please join me in thanking Hannah and Jennifer. And I loved Jenny Tepau Daniels' suggestion of our creating some sort of Lāʻie call for prioritizing human dignity. And we don't have time to do that here now, but I would like to nominate Hannah and Jennifer and Jenny to create a drafting committee to put together a brief statement that can be a conference, not so much a declaration, but exactly the way Jenny put it, a Lāʻie call for reprioritizing human dignity. Now, I'd like for this to be a consensus document, and we can't ask for consensus for something that hasn't been drafted. But could I ask by a show of hands all of those who can join me in seconding the motion for this committee of 3 to work on a conference declaration? And Jennifer and Hannah and Jenny, I want to see your hands in the air too. And all those opposed. You realize that if you're opposed, you're on the committee too. Seriously, anyone who would like to join that group of 3, please contact one of them. And I think we should try to do this before too much time passes. But I don't think it has to be long. I think half a page, highlighting some of the great things that have been said. And I'm going to summarize a few of them right here, and I'll give this summary to you, and this will get you halfway there. So you can consider this my contribution to the drafting committee. Some of the highlights for me began with Reverend James Sri Bhagwan when he opened our conference by noting the depth of spirituality in the Pacific Islands. And so it's quite natural that the connection between human dignity and our religious and spiritual beliefs and commitments was a theme that was recurring. I also appreciated his prayer at lunch today, where he commended and urged us to engage in deep listening and deep sharing. And I believe we've seen that. Elder Taniela B. Wakolo asked us, how do you spell human dignity? And memorably told us in 4 letters, L-O-V-E. And of course, we then recalled Reverend James's reminder that love is expressed in public spaces as justice. We also appreciated Elder Wakolo's call for us striving for unity and diversity, which is one of the great missions of this university, BYU Hawaii. And he also reminded us of the priority of the 2 great commandments, to love the Lord our God with all our heart, might, mind, and strength, and our neighbors as ourselves. I was deeply moved by the Reverend Dr. Peter Lloyd Chong's story about driving directly down the middle of the road towards a gravel truck on a narrow street. And we're glad, swerving aside at the last minute. Or as he put it, the big truck would have had its way. But I've been thinking about that image, and it reminds me that we can be left feeling angry and alienated when our human dignity is violated or flouted. And I think we need to be mindful of the harms caused when human dignity is violated in significant ways. He also, Dr. Peter, reminded us that from a Pacific perspective, human dignity is based in our community and our clan. It is not an individual thing we can do by ourselves. And I think that's an important part of the Pacific perspective on human dignity, which is quite different than the Western philosophical tradition that we trace to Immanuel Kant. I was moved by Father Francis Xavier Hesel's remark that human dignity is universal. And then, Father Francis, you said, unless it becomes universal, it becomes useless. What a powerful and direct way of expressing an important truth. And that was just the first panel. Every panel has been filled, brimming with similar depths of insight. Suliani Mary Tauke, respect for human dignity demands the protection of human rights. And Dr. Natasha Khan, perhaps the opposite side of the same coin, human rights naturally spring from human dignity, even in places where we are wary of human rights and Western values. And Lokini Kini Vili Lewarau, human dignity is preserved and promoted through a robust legal framework, and human dignity is preserved and promoted through culture. And I thought of those also as two very important points. The Honorable Maualaivau Pepe Seuli, Seuli, human dignity for everyone everywhere helps us understand the scope and meaning of human rights. And the Honorable Robert J. Torres, our commitment to human dignity is what defines us. I'd like to conclude with a few of the insights that we received from the student presenters today. From Regi and Nahema, speaking of human dignity's role in integrating new religions into society. To Lindo Kule, human dignity is the cornerstone of human rights. From Vilai, the significant connection between religious freedom and gender equality. And Hannah's interesting discussion of the group regression process that takes place when we feel threatened. I've been a part of a few groups that have gone through group regression processes, and I thought her terminology and her analysis was really spot on. And finally, Johan, with his really quite brilliant empirical analysis of how religious diversity strengthens political stability. And this is the thought I have as we leave. I've been part of discussions about human dignity from a lot of different perspectives in a lot of places in the world. But here, in this discussion, from these various perspectives, from Oceania, from the Pacific, this is the lasting thought that I have that I'd like to share and conclude. Human dignity is the proposition that there is more that we have in common than everything that divides us. Thank you.